Oh my goodness, the biggest Patreon goal has been met. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Oh, wow. Okay, it hasn't even been a year since I started my Patreon page, and I am just completely thrilled and overwhelmed by all the support that everybody has pledged. I'm in the very beginning planning stages of making the next video. I just finished filming a Technology Connections 2 video comparing these two machines because there's some humorous history behind there. I will have that up and edited later tonight so you can see it, but I don't know if it's a spoiler, but the events, I'm doing it now because this machine is going to be completely destroyed for the video that we're going to be doing next. So that's why I want to do this now, because there are humorous differences. I'm not going to destroy this machine because it's a childhood machine. There's nostalgia there. And honestly, aside from it not having a headphone jack, it's a better machine than this one. But I wanted to just thank you because, wow, man, I noticed a lot of new pledges from the last video. I'm very grateful that that happened because that video took a lot of work. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I hope that you saw that, and maybe that's why I have more pledges, because I really wanted to go as deeply as I could to explain how everything connected with that player, and it is currently over there with some test leads hooked into it that we're going to explore in the next video. But for now, wow, just wow. Thank you, one and all. And I'm close to 1,000 patrons, which is just, geez. This is a brave new world we're starting in. And on that note, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some things that are going on in the future that I can't get very specific about yet. But I want to tell you about an idea that I had for a new studio space, which is not happening because it's just not feasible. And the idea was the solar barn. So if you live anywhere near the middle of America, which I do, and I spend a lot of time out west, 2/3 the way to Iowa, as I like to describe it, you'll know that a lot of farms have basic steel buildings or pole barns that they use for whatever, livestock or just storing equipment, just a large basic building. They're inexpensive to build because they're basically just a shell. Now, I had the idea of finding a piece of land somewhere remote where I could build one of these things and basically turn it into an off-grid home with a ton of studio space. Now, for various reasons, that doesn't make any sense because you can't get a loan to do that sort of thing, because the only conventional loan that I could feasibly service to do that would be a mortgage. And really, I mean, I haven't looked, but I very much doubt any bank or lender is going to give you a mortgage on a piece of property that you're going to build, which is not a home in the slightest. So that plus, the land is the biggest hurdle, but then everything gets worse and worse. You need to pour a slab before you can do the building. Before you pour the slab, you need to put in a well and septic system. So you're into $100,000 or more before you even build the building. So yeah, that's not going to happen. But in my revolutionary vision, wow, am I full of myself, was to cover the roof of this thing in solar panels, because the thing about these buildings is that they have big flat roofs, not quite flat, but big. So if I just built the thing so that way the south side, the building was east-west long ways, so there's a lot of south-facing roof, you could just cover it in a bunch of solar panels. And the idea was to build this building and prove the viability of off-grid living in a very unconventional way. So the point being that most of the building could stay empty. It didn't even need to be finished as far as I'm concerned. We could just take one part of the building and build basically an apartment within it. And that way only that corner needs to be heated and cooled and insulated, but you have all of the space for solar panels above it. So that was the solar barn project. It's been kind of like, ooh, I wonder how I can make this work. And the point, this was like lofty dream 9,000, because once I'm making YouTube videos, it'd be great because they have more space for a studio. I don't need a lot of living space. I've been living very comfortably with the space that I have now. The problem is just that this is my living space. and I would give you a tour right now, but everything is just a complete mess because of the fact that my living space and my workspace are kind of the same thing, and it's wearing on me. So I had said just in text, I'm looking at options on how to get a studio space. How that goes, I have a fairly good idea of what I can do, and part of it is that I can live pretty much anywhere at this time because I just need an internet connection to keep doing what I'm doing. So I'm thinking maybe moving, thinking maybe looking at leasing some sort of space. Plans, there are some plans that are in I don't want to say in motion, but we're working towards, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, now the thing is, that was part of my $3,000 goal, was that pretty much if I had $1,000 a month that I could budget towards an office space of some kind, then that would be amazing. And we're there, which is just crazy. And I'm literally blown away every time I look at my Patreon page, and it's like that number. It just is crazy because, wow. I mean, I don't know what it means really. I think, again, Mr. Full of himself thinks that you all see value in what I'm doing, which is very, I don't know. Humbling is not the right word, as we've discussed greatly on Hello Internet, but it's crazy. So anyway, know that things are happening. I'm working to make things so I can make better videos and with more space. I'd love to be able to do a series on the technology that's in cars, specifically engine management computers and all, like, the thing that like no one really understands in my estimation is why cars have engine computers, why things are so computerized today, and it's all for very good reasons that also mask a few things. I'd like to do a series on how the catalytic converter hides the emissions of vehicles because, okay, spoiler alert, if you have a lawnmower, if you have a gas-powered lawnmower or generator or any small engined thing, you'll know that the exhaust from that is really smelly and gross. And unfortunately, the catalytic converter in your car makes it seem as though your car is well, it is cleaner than those things in terms of emissions, but it masks the impact of all the fuel it's burning. Because if you just think of a lawnmower, which has an engine, I'm talking just like a push lawnmower, which has an engine maybe a 20th the size of what's in your car, or maybe even less depending on your car, how smelly that thing is just to mow your lawn, multiply that by 20 to drive your car, and it would be a very, very smelly thing. But the catalytic converter in conjunction with the engine computer are able to mask those emissions so well because they're getting rid of the smelly components, getting rid of the nitrous oxides. And I think that is part of why people don't really understand the impact of driving an internal combustion engine, because it seems very harmless. But another demonstration I'd kind of like to do would be to work out how many teaspoons or whatever other small measurement you like of fuel are burned per minute when driving at highway speeds, and actually set up a bunch of teaspoons filled with gasoline outside and light them on fire and show how much energy that is. Because it's those sorts of perspectives. The thing that, I mean, if you can't tell already, I've been pushing for electric vehicles for a while, and the reason why is because they can run on wind power and solar panel, which has no emissions. Yes, there's problems with those things, but our current fossil fuel infrastructure masks the impact that you have from driving your car. You never see the fuel going into your tank. So the idea of putting 10 gallons of gas into your car just seems like something you did. You don't have the context of, here's 10 gallons of this explosive thing, of this explosive substance, which is this much, creates this much fire and energy. Whereas, if you had just a solar panel or wind turbine, once that thing is built, there are no emissions aside from what little maintenance it might need. But anyway, I'm getting off topic because what I want to do is I don't have space to make those sorts of videos because I don't have an outside, and I don't, my mom and dad don't really have space that I could borrow at this point. So I'm working with them to see if there's some sort of, if there's something that I could do with their place, if I should move somewhere where I can afford more. Because the problem is, I'd be fine if I had a larger home, I think, where I could separate and have a separate workspace. But here where I live, I can't afford that. It's just too expensive. So lots of ideas floating around, but something's gonna happen. And thank you, because you're making that possible. You truly are. I'm speechless. I don't thank you enough, as particularly with and I think part of it is just that this just all happened so quickly. It's very hard for me to imagine going from basically an unknown channel in May of 17 to now where it's neck and neck to 200,000 subscribers. I have all of you patrons helping out, and it's just like, whoa. So I'm definitely not internet famous. One of my coworkers at my old job, he always is like, oh, you're a YouTube star now. And it's like, that's a stretch, but it's farther along. Every time I try to contextualize where I am, it blows my mind a bit. And you all are, without starting this Patreon, without moving things forward, this just, it went, it's just crazy. Know that, I don't even know. But I'm going to continue to make videos like this as I can. I mean, just for the main channel, as well as I like to keep you informed of how things are going. I'm leaning towards moving and or finding a space that is affordable, because the one thing that I have, which a lot of people don't, is I have the luxury of time now. So if I have a space that's far but inexpensive, it'll cost more of my time, which will eat a little bit into creative potential, but there's other avenues to explore there. If I have to drive an hour to get to my workspace, that's kind of okay, so long as I can be there for all day and know what I'm, plan ahead of time. I just want to get my stuff out of here, somewhere different. Whether that means a different home that has more space to store these things, or whether that means an office, I don't know yet. We're working through these things, but we're gonna get there. So anyway, please please enjoy the videos that I make. I hope I continue to make them to your liking. And as always, I put in my last post, if you have ideas, throw them at me. You can always send me a Patreon message, though I'm really bad at getting back to you at a timely manner. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do better at that. I do get an email. Part of it is that I get an email with the content of your message as soon as you send it. I read that and then kind of consider it like done, because it shows up separately and I can't respond to it via email. I have to log into Patreon to do that. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic. Boy, just thank you. Exciting things are going to happen soon. I don't know exactly what they are, but I want you to know that. Anyway, see you later.